Fit, active, healthy, happy, enjoying the prime of your life. Looking out for your health and wellness, this is Health Talk with Fred Lowry from Lowry Drug in Statesville. Visit Fred at his store, conveniently located on Hartness Road in Statesville.
Good afternoon. This is Fred Lowry, pharmacist and doctor of natural medicine. This episode of Health Talk was pre-recorded for January the 16th, 2026. We are exploring the facts and facets related to your health and hopefully keeping you up to date and informed. This program is intended to share knowledge and information based on my research and experience. It's not intended to offer individual advice, nor does it replace a one-on-one relationship with a qualified healthcare professional. Your daily choices are yours and have more to do with your health than anyone in the healthcare field. My hopes are that this show will empower you with knowledge to take a more proactive approach to your health. Some of my sources include, but are not limited to, various news feeds, news feeds, including Epic Times, Mercola, Children's Health Defense, PubMed, and other various Substack posts. Last week, we were talking about metabolism and a little bit of the science behind that related to thyroid function and other things. So just as a quick little review of that, because we have a little continuation of that information, one of the things that came up was for people, sometimes they view health as being too complicated. Granted, there is a lot of complication and information related to how the body works and mechanisms, but I do think there are things that can simplify your overall concept, and so part of that is asking yourself what really makes sense. And it gets confusing because there's a lot of marketing related to this one product is going to cure your situation, and that's never really going to be the problem. It might, something may be helpful, but one thing can't be the whole answer, because not just one thing is the cause of the problem. Most people have a system-wide problem that manifests in some type of illness or disease. So sometimes we focus on what works against us, but I think it's also helpful to look at what may work to be helpful. So one of the things we talked about was thyroid function, this concept of hypothyroidism, symptoms of fatigue, weight gain, cold intolerance, dry skin, constipation, depression, muscle weakness, joint pain, hair loss, puffy face, all kinds of symptoms there. And so any kind of health issue really is a total body experience. And so while we might have underlying issues like thyroid dysfunction, there are things that set yourself up, if you will, in some cases for that to happen. And so your gut health is obviously an issue. The foods you eat, your overall toxic load, the number of the amount of food, processed foods in particular, that you're putting into your body, that your body has to deal with, how you're able to get rid of toxins through normal mechanisms, drinking enough water, being able to clear toxins, through other of the body's waste mechanisms. So, we want to maximize body function related to physiology basics, really. So one of the things we reviewed there was how do you measure that? Of course, there's lab tests that are available for thyroid function. One of them was looking at body temperature first thing in the morning, and having a thermometer handy, taking your temperature before you get out of bed. If you're less than 97.8, that would be an indicator of low metabolism. We talked about doing the iodine spot test to see if perhaps you're low in iodine. Some are, some aren't, obviously. And we kind of left off on the concept of reverse T3, which is a kind of the different, it's called an isomer of thyroid hormone. And so the body has mechanisms to conserve energy. One of the things that I maybe alluded to last week was, if you're on a very low carb diet, that may be helpful initially, but you have to have carbs for your body to operate on. And so low sources of energy like carbs can perhaps flip that functional T3, thyroid hormone, to that reverse T3. And reverse T3 occupies the same sites in the body, and it makes your body think that maybe you've got enough thyroid, but it's not biologically active. So this is kind of an interesting concept because, as I mentioned last week, this Dr. Mark Starr, his thyroid concept was that synthetic thyroid has a different spin on it, which I thought was pretty interesting. I hadn't seen that, but in the world of vitamins and supplements, the right spin, if you will, chemistry of a vitamin, which is called dextro, is considered the one that's biologically active. So Dr. Starr was talking about that all things from nature have a right spin, and synthetic medications have a left spin. So what in the world is that? So spin chemistry is basically has to do with the energy of a substance. It may be the photoelectric energy, the magnetic energy. It's kind of a key underlying mechanism for how things work. There's something called the magnetoreception thing related to birds, and it's kind of an odd thing, really, but it's a sense that allows that organism to be able to detect the Earth's magnetic fields and have navigation. Now that has to do with energy, and so certainly the function of substances that we put in the body, the energy of them, if you will, certainly can have an impact on a body. I know that's a kind of a different concept, but coming up on a break here, I'm running out of time. Stay tuned for more Health Talk. Welcome back to Health Talk. This is Fred Lowry. So we were talking about the strange thing about spin related to chemistry. And in looking into that a little deeper, you'll remember last week I talked about Dr. Broda Barnes, and he did a study with different thyroid products. Years ago, we only had the desiccated thyroid. from pork. There is desiccated thyroid from beef as well, but eventually the pharmaceutical companies came up. Their answer to the desiccated thyroid was to come up with a synthetic product that was similar to the desiccated thyroid. It was called Thyrolar, Thyrolar. Not many people remember that, but we used to have that for dispensing, and it was a combination of the T4 and the T3, but it was made synthetically, and so what they discovered was about a fifth of the patients that went on that product did not do as well. So 20% of individuals in that study did not do as well on the synthetic thyroid product. And they ended up with rapid heartbeats and palpitations after switching to that synthetic Thyrolar product. That product was discontinued not because of the any issues with the purity of it or the product in per se. It was apparently a financial issue, but also in looking at this, came across this concept from Dr. Barnes, Broder Barnes, that he had written a book, and there was a chapter in there, The Demise of the Cholesterol Theory. And what he had discovered in treating patients with thyroid issues, that elevated cholesterol and triglycerides also, those levels normalized when the thyroid level normalized. So that was pretty interesting. I had not seen that before, but he claimed that happened in 95% of the patients. So that's really pretty amazing. So we're going back to this concept of energy in the body and the metabolism, because that's really what drives the whole system. Now we can get into a little bit of the gut health issue. Obviously, when your gut's not working as it should, then you have issues with lower metabolism, and part of that is not getting in the nutrients that you need. But when your gut slows down in its ability to process nutrients and clear out waste, food lingers longer than it should, and it actually encourages more harmful bacteria growth and the production of endotoxins. Endotoxins, that is the waste of bacteria. So bacteria consumes foods or nutrients and produces waste, just like all organisms do. So this previous article was looking at mitochondria function, and certainly optimal thyroid health plays a role in that. But there's a number of factors that contribute to this. So one of the things that I think of initially, not just foods, but spike proteins. We knew that those damage cells, damage mitochondria, and part of that might be the mechanism for some of the long COVID and perhaps some of the vaccine injury. We talked about these polyunsaturated fats, the linoleic acid that gets into the cell wall, and that disrupts things. BPA found in plastics, xenoestrogens, which means chemicals that act like estrogens, but they're not. They mimic estrogens and bind to the same receptors and have a negative influence on the body. So this is a threat to mitochondrial function. the endotoxins from the gut, poisons, metabolic poisons of any type, really. From foods, all of that becomes a cellular toxin. And then the electromagnetic fields under the category of things that are not seen but have an impact on many individuals. All of these kind of have a central mechanism for decreasing energy production, and it goes back to the influx of calcium into the cells. And if you recall, I talked about statins and muscle dysfunction. That's the mechanism for that. So statins cause calcium to go into the cells of the muscles and cause damage. So, going back to the energy source, that goes back to your food. So eating a smaller amount of calories does not fix your metabolism. Now, the other side of that might be that, intermittent fasting may be helpful, and also very short-term fasting may be helpful. And what that does is increases autophagy, which is the body's clearing of cellular waste. But that doesn't mean that, that's something that you do all the time. So, as I talk about this, we end up thinking about, the complexity of the human body and how it works. And, I, of all the things we know, it also leads us to think that the more we know, the more we realize how much we don't know. So someone else had expressed this as, I'm speaking from my current level of ignorance, really, but there are still some simplistic ways to look at things, and that's quite simply good, clean water with hydration, food that you can get as clean as possible, real food, being able to digest food properly, eliminate waste, decreasing toxins that you know about in your food. And, this is one of the things that really puzzles me. I talked to an individual today that was complaining of symptoms of fatigue and energy and loss, and she said, well, I know my diet's poor, but the problem is she's maybe doesn't have the energy to make the change or the conviction, or she hasn't gotten to the point where she doesn't have any choice. I don't know. But the fact is, most of us will still stick with the same habits that don't serve us, and we still complain about the things that we'd like to improve. So I'm not sure what the answer to that is for people in the listening audience here in terms of making changes, but it does take some attention. And the individual said, well, I'm not organized about it. I'm just lazy. But they're not. That's not true. In their job, they're very organized. They're motivated to do their job at work because they have to, and they perceive that they have to. But at home, maybe because they're putting so much energy into their work, they don't have it for themselves. But it really boils down to, in some ways, I think, what you value and how you value things. And so the irony of eating a quick snack to save time really takes your time. It takes time away from your life in the long run. So that's the irony of it. We eat junk or a snack or something just to satisfy us so that we can keep going. And, it takes a toll on our health. So these are things to consider. When we come back, we're going to talk about a few other things related to concepts and excesses and things. Stay tuned for more health talk.
Doctor, my eyes have seen the years and the slow parade of
All right, welcome back to Health Talk. Lowry Drug on Hartness Road in Statesville was established in 1959. We are a traditional family pharmacy with a state-of-the-art compounding laboratory. We offer a full line of medical equipment, supplies, CPAP, scooters, lift chairs, oxygen, everything you need to take care of your loved ones at home. We have a full line of supplements, nutritionals, herbs, essential oils, homeopathics, and more. Come see us. We were just talking about motivation to make changes in things, and I think one of the things that gets confusing is that we see a lot of marketing and advertising. It can be for pharmaceutical products, or it could be for quote-unquote natural products that it's basically selling you on the concept that one thing is going to fix a particular issue. One big warning sign is when you run into advertisements and you click on it, and they're not going to really tell you what the product is until the end, and you go through this sales routine. That's a big warning sign that product is there to sell. And I ran across this paper someone wrote. It was sort of a rant on medical research, and the concept is it's pretty much a waste of time and money. And I think we can find a lot of examples of studies that are just being done that quite frankly are just stupid. I've seen does garlic, taking garlic in men improve their attraction to women, and based on pheromones, and it's just makes no sense. But a lot of the medical research, particularly comes to mind around cancer, is that we're looking for one molecule or one lone pathway, an isolated gene, a particular toxin, maybe an enzyme, an herb, a drug, a nutrient, one therapy that is the cure for cancer. In all my years, I've not seen anything productive in that. Yes, we've come up with chemotherapies and some drugs that prolong life, but I'm not sure that they really cure the situation. So basically, as we're looking for answers for illnesses, we're told to trust the science, and all the research papers pile up, but nothing really happens well. And so a lot of this is really a failure of science due to the concept of reductionism. And what I mean by that is that looking for that one thing. We look for the biggest answers in the smallest places, and it's generally not the case for the general population. Does that fit for some individuals? Maybe. But for most of us, the issue is system issues. it's not just one thing. It's the total system. And when we look in things in isolation and test one thing at a time, it's kind of a diversion of the things that are really important. And I think it creates this, what was coined as intellectual paralysis. But, when you look at that, I think, the best results comes from doing multiple things at one time. So if you're ill, if you're sick, you do all the things that you decrease the overall toxic load, you improve your diet, you improve your gut, you improve your hydration, you take away the things that are toxic that your body's having to clear, and then you get the nutrients in so your body can work properly. So you're hitting all these things from every direction, and all this is synergistic, so it helps the other parts work better, if you will. So, you might try short-term fasting, very short-term. You might look at obviously getting rid of processed foods, getting more sunlight, aligning circadian rhythms, maybe some exercise that fits your situation, and all the other things that may be helpful that are considered alternative. Let's just say if you have cancer, and the IV vitamin C, which is something that's done to improve detoxification. Herbal teas, coffees, even an emerging therapy in cancer treatment right now is ivermectin. And when we first hear about things like that, it just sounds really crazy, just like when we heard about ivermectin being used for COVID. But as it turns out, there's plenty of research that shows ivermectin, it has antiviral properties. And it also, as it turns out, that this antiparasitic drug has anti-cancer properties. So that's not to say that, that's not important, but even relying on just ivermectin by itself as a cancer intervention is a bit incomplete. So most of the studies that we have basically are investigational for making life a little bit longer. So we've reduced all these things. And so, as I said before, cancer is really a collapse of the body's systems and how they work. Now, what this means is the approach with cancer, looking for that one thing, is going to be impossible. That's never going to happen, at least in my opinion, because we're just looking for that one thing. So it kind of dupes us, if you will, in thinking that we're working on a cure. It's just around the corner. Eventually, we need more funding, we need more studies, we need more data. Once we understand this, things will be better. We need more peer-reviewed studies, blah, blah, blah. I mean, it just keeps going on and on. And, I don't know that this is intentional, but intentional or unintentional as a distraction from all the other things that can be helpful. And maybe they don't cure things per se, but they improve the quality of one's life. And I think that's what we're all kind of looking for from the aspect of our overall health. So one of the things that comes to mind too as I look at this, I've been to a lot of seminars, and each presenter had their own specialty. And with those specialties, they can if they fix this one thing, it fixes a lot of things. And so sometimes we get over-focused on that, heavy metals, food allergies, etc. We'll talk more about that coming back up in a moment. Stay tuned for more Health Talk.
Doctor, my eyes have seen the years and the slow parade of fear.
Welcome back to Health Talk. This is Fred Lowry, pharmacist and doctor of natural medicine. So I was just talking about individuals that study different things. And I noticed in my earlier days of trying to gather information, going to seminars, that let's just say food allergy can cause all kinds of symptoms, and there's no doubt that that's true. But then heavy metals might cause some similar issues, and there's no doubt that that's true. So we can get over-focused on a particular thing. And in some cases, it's just like looking at getting over-focused on a particular solution. So you have to approach things from many aspects. And one of the things that brought this to mind was I was reading an article about excess iodine and what that does to thyroid health. So, ironically, we need iodine for thyroid function, but like anything, too much of a good thing is a problem. So apparently around the 1920s, iodine was added to table salt as a public health measure to prevent goiters. Goiters is the swelling of the thyroid gland, and you'll notice that many people that have hypothyroidism have a bit of a swelling in their neck area. This article made the assumption that after iodine fortification, we started having autoimmune thyroid. Now, that might be related. It doesn't quite fit for me, but they do make a good point in that they make a mistaken belief that, if humans are deficient in iodine, which was definitely true, then maybe animals are also. So they started adding iodine to animal feed. So this is just something to be aware of, but too little of something can actually cause the same symptoms as too much of a product. It's called the reverse effect. So apparently there are a lot of other sources of iodine other than salt. Animal feed is an example. Dairy cleaning practices, before the milking machines are put on, they use an iodine-based disinfectant. Processed foods have a lot of salt in them. Processed grains uses iodized dough conditioners. There may be personal care products, seafood, kelp, which is a seaweed product, has a lot of iron. So depending on how that happens, maybe your iodine have too much iodine. I'm not sure that's always the case, and I think that's a little bit of an example of seemingly being a little over-focused on one thing. So as we think about that in the foods, going back to the ultra-processed foods, there's a lot of health changes or countrywide changes being made through Kennedy and Make America Healthy Again. And, I think it's a good thing, but we also have the choice of making the right choices and making those changes without government assistance. So what does ultra-processed foods mean? So this was put in 4 groups. One is basically unprocessed or minimally processed foods, vegetables, meat, mushrooms, eggs, in their purest form. So basically the way it presents in nature. Most ideal way to eat, obviously. And then we have a second group, which is processed ingredients, like butter, lard, sugar, and salt, typically minimal processed, in terms of maybe pressing, grinding, milling, or drying. Then processed foods like canned fruits preserved in syrup or fish preserved in oil. These things are processed. One of the issues is the large manufacturing industrial scale levels of this can be problematic. So I'm not talking about home canning or that type of thing. And then group 4, the most problematic, is basically lab-made concoctions, formulations, ingredient mostly used, through industrial techniques. They can be found in soft drinks, candies, bread, margarine, pre-prepared meats, hot dogs, instant noodles, all those chips and snacks that have a tremendous list of ingredients. And these are all basically a big threat to your health. And one of the things I've instructed people to do is, when they're making these changes, is go home and clean out your pantry. That's poison in your, all those ultra-processed things, and the way to make change is just to get rid of it. Some people want to give it away to people that will use it. That's, I don't think, productive for them either. So, what happens in your body, the foods that you eat, have a big issue related to your health. It's been shown that populations with the highest intake of these products consistently show the poorest metabolic and overall health outcomes. And it's not limited to a particular group of male, female, or age. It appears in all people. So the more ultra-processed foods that you eat, the worse diet, the more likely you are to be fat, have diabetes, have cardiovascular disease, and perhaps develop cancer. So, this is goes back to that irony of I'm eating a quick snack so I can get things done. And as we've gone to this ultra-processed foods, then traditional cooking declines, and families are relying on this ready-to-eat, ready-to-heat, grab-and-go kind of meals to save time. The drive to accomplish, all kinds of things, all these travel sports, the demands on individuals. All this is poor diet, more stress. It's just, it can get out of hand. So ultra-processed foods are designed to increase the palatability because you're going to eat more. Your eating pattern destabilizes your energy production, overwhelms your digestive systems. So this is a big issue related to that metabolism concept that we started out to begin with. And concept here is really to start taking responsibility for yourself. These MAGA health policy changes are good, but do you really need the government to create policies to make you to improve your health? And you know, are you allowing yourself to be manipulated by all these this marketing? You know, are we the victims of this, and we maybe act as if we can't do anything about this? You know, we can't stop eating these things. We can't eat real food. You know, these are things I don't understand. But and yet I do understand it, because individuals, you know, are really somewhat overwhelmed, and when you don't have the energy to put into sitting down and making a plan, it's just easy to keep doing the same thing. And the question is that where you're going to end up? Because you know, if you don't make these changes, it's going to affect the quality of your life. So I hope that maybe this will give you some things to think about. You know, there are a lot of things that contribute to all this low metabolism that we've covered in this episode and the last one. So things to think about. Wish you the best. Have a great weekend, and take care of yourself, because nobody else really will. Come see us.